Hello, everyone. This is Daisy, aka the Professional High Priestess, and today's episode is going to be about the distorted feminine. So, why am I doing a reading about the distorted feminine? Because right now we are being called to balance, okay? And the message has to be put out there in order for balance to be created. I'm also a part of Libra gang, so that is our job. As a high vibrational Libra, my job is to bring balance, support the development of balance, exact balance, and be balanced on this material plane, okay? So sharing the message is a part of that. Now, I'm going to go over masculine and feminine energy because every feminine has a masculine and feminine polarity within them, and then every masculine does as well, okay? But you see, there's feminine, masculine, there's feminine, feminine, there's masculine, masculine, there's masculine, feminine, if that makes some sense. Femmes have their own form of masculinity. Masculines have their own form of femininity, okay? So we're going to go into the imbalances that happen in either or. There's going to be one for masculines too. Distorted feminines. And we're going to get some examples too. We're going to get some examples for sure. So let's talk about the masculine aspect of feminines, okay? That's the blending of logic and emotion, right? Being able to be a businesswoman but also have emotions in the workplace as well for conflict that may arise or personal stuff that happens. That's independence. Knowing that, yes, the patriarchy does exist. The masculine figure has power in this material realm, but there's also material power to be obtained in the feminine pathway as well, and being able to do that. And also not relying on the masculine principle for dependence, okay? And that's also structure, which is matriarchy. A lot of the times when we think about structure and order, we think about patriarchy, but no, matriarchy was also order, okay? So for the distorted feminines, distorted feminines, right? The way that this will manifest on the imbalance is complete logic, no emotion. Drive, quest for power, for whatever, obtaining and using logic to do it and having an imbalance with the emotional aspect. Striving for independence at the expense of others, at the expense of collective interdependence and collaboration. Structure can turn into domination, tyranny, and control. And rigidity, lower vibrational Virgo energy. Logic, that logic aspect, lower vibrational Capricorn energy, okay? That's how those elements can manifest in the femme. Now, just for example, so feminine aspect, when it's balanced, it's intuition and empathy blended. Intuition as the primary driving force for whatever's being done in the material world, okay? Empathy with others in order to create more flow, more harmony, more peace, and to spread more healing, right? Which is in accordance with universal law and order. Then we have interdependence, okay? And then this interdependence is knowing that there is a connectedness with everyone around and each other, and that in order to strive and move forward, then that interdependence must be tapped into. That interdependence also looking like, I was just thought about something. That interdependence also looking like turning into codependency, overly dependent on a certain element, individual, person, place, or thing to feel interdependent or connected to the overall, right? Well, if I'm connected to this one and I can feel that, then I'm just going to stay to this one. No, because y'all too also have to connect to the overall. That's energy vampirism. Co-creation. That is working with the natural flow of order, of elements, of consecration, okay? To work with the universe, to bring things into fruition in flow, versus that imbalanced masculine energy that brings things into fruition by force. Think about, like, if you're trying to, like, wear down a mountain, you can go blow it up with bombs and fire and all that stuff, or you can, like, water and wind, especially if you're talking about the safety of people involved, right? One may get you faster, of course, than the other, but that's the analogy. Okay, so those are the two polarities of the masculine aspect of feminine and the feminine aspect, okay? balanced and imbalanced. Now, we're going to look at this and manifesting in real time in human beings. So some of y'all may know some of these folks, some of y'all may not. You're going to be surprised who's in here, but trust, it's going to make so much sense. Let's start with our first. Person, Sarina Joy, Handmaid's Tale. Sarina Joy was the wife of Commander Waterford. For those of you who do not watch Handmaid's Tale, this may really completely miss you, but that show is really what's about to happen in America. And it's a perfect example of the distorted feminine, because Gilead, which is the town or the republic that takes over the United States and really wages war on all of the governments, and they take over, and all the women are taken and rounded up and turned into sex slaves to reproduce because the population goes down. There's chemical warfare. There's all kinds of stuff. Right? And the whole world can't populate. So people come to them to see how do they have children and things like that. So these sex slaves do a ritual once a month with the husbands, because the husbands have wives still, because the wives can't mate, mind you. So they go out and find these women that still can mate, and they put them in sex slaves in the house. They're called handmaids. And the way that their name goes is of, and then the man's name, like, I'm a person, but I'm of Joseph. I'm of Jonathan. I'm of Christopher. Some sick shit, bro. Sarina Joy helped to write the doctrine for Gilead. People don't know that. People do know that, right? She was very much before the complete collapse and fall, because they had a civil war on U.S. soil, and Gilead completely decimated United States. Everyone ran to Canada. She would be going out and doing talks about reproduction, and people need to do this and that, and God and religion or whatever. How she's the masculine imbalance of the feminine principle. Why? Because of her alignment with patriarchy. As a woman, if you are engaged, and then the religion here too, the way that she was aligned with patriarchy was she was in alignment with the masculine force having so much control over the feminine force that women couldn't read. They were sex slaves, all that kind of shit, right? She was so in alignment with religion that she used the religious text to justify murder, rape, etc., stealing of children, etc., of women, fellow women. She produced I'm not even going to get into that. You watch Handmaid's Tale for yourself. Treachery against the feminine principle. If you as a woman, you have been involved in any type of situation where there was the taking of the innocence of a child, or the taking of the innocence of a woman, or the desecration of a woman's sacredness, rape, etc., you had any part of that, that's treachery right there. You've worked against the feminine principle. You are now like in treason in the spiritual world. So a lot of those women, those mothers that allow their husbands or their boyfriends or whatever to touch on their daughters, and they don't say anything, just know that that's what's happening in the spiritual world for you. Alignment with patriarchy, violence and force, and domination and control. Gilead was very violent. She helped to write the doctrine for that whole stuff, right? She could have helped to stop it on before it even got that far. Not blaming her, but it's just like, it's just to go to show the fact that a woman helped to create such a monstrosity that forwarded patriarchy. Just think about the stuff that happened in Alabama, where they're saying that they're not going to be doing abortions for people and all that stuff, which me personally, I feel like, okay, that could have been prevented if you just took care of your sexual reproductive stuff, be careful. You don't need to be there. All right. But it's just on an energetic level. Like, that's just something that you don't want to get into repetitively. But Sarina Joy here helped to move. I was saying something about I lost my train of thought because what I was talking about was then I lost that train of thought. Okay, well, it looks like that's what it's going to be. So Sarina Joy, okay. Why? Okay, so I was saying basically what happened in what's it called, the abortion stuff. Okay, what the fuck? Excuse my language. Something was going on. I'm getting all these downloads all at once. I'm like, hold on. those were two women as well that helped to support that. That whole Brett Kavanaugh concoction that they had going on, and all that madness, there was also women involved too in supporting him. Okay, so that needs to be discussed as well. And I feel like we don't, because patriarchy exists. Women are oppressed too. Yes, we're oppressed, and we also support the oppressor. Okay, there is very much well documented text that, you know, there was also feminists who engaged with certain tribes and armies or whatnot, you know, engaged with them, gave up secrets, allowed them into like our knowledge systems, etc., that they then took, bastardized, and turned into patriarchal religions. They don't want me to talk because I'm dropping tea. I read a whole excerpt from a book. I'm going to do it again, about how all the main religions are basically inversion, devil energy, right? Remember we talked about the pentagram of the feminine mystery systems. So that's Sarina Joy, distorted feminine. We see this a lot in the workplace, women who align with men, right? We even see this in our own families. We have grandmothers, aunties, mothers who've aligned with the patriarchal energy, right? Control. Going to church, I'm going to pray for you, That's not what we talk about in this household. That person is holy. They'd never do that. Deluded by religion, really, which is masculine imbalance. Kris Jenner. That's why I said child, because for real, she's a special type of madness. Kris Jenner, it's very subtle, but it's the most exploitative. It is the most, I would say, insidious, okay? In terms of the masculine imbalance and how this lady has really like created and weaved the whole web of other people's bloodlines into this whole money scheme that she has going on. She's like the master of karmics. It's like they all descend from her, or whatever bloodline she comes from. I feel like they're a dysfunctional ass royal family that's been going from time to time to time just to do the same shit all over again. If it ain't taking their bloodline from basketball players and stuff like that, shit, it was a transatlantic slave trade, investing in the boats and stuff for that. Okay, do you catch my drift? Masculine imbalance here. Abuse of the feminine principle for material gain. The feminine principle being the motherhood, emotions, transparency, vulnerability, putting her family's life on display, their sensitivity, their traumas on display for monetary gain, exploiting her daughter's sexual escapades for monetary gain. Shit, they did that though. Exploitation of children, privacy, and reproduction for material wealth and power. I talked about the privacy part, but the children part, purposely encouraging the stealing of bloodlines to produce children that will act as anchors in the material world to continue not only her energetic blood-sucking succubus karmic legacy, but also to continue the flow of money and the name, the continuation of the name, which is the brand, right? They're trying to be like Sears. Remember when they first started way back in the day, 30s, 40s, when they had a catalog, they that's what they want. They want to be like the Kardashian catalog, collection of fuckery and karmics in their whole bloodline. They're cursed. And even going so as far as exploiting children, exploiting pregnancy, exploiting the power of reproduction, all in the name of creating ratings, etc. Black China's a part of that, but she's going to be in my Black distorted feminine video, because I'm going to do one specifically for Black women. Kris Jenner's a special case. And this masculine imbalance really here is, think about the abuse of the feminine principle for material gain, pimping. Selling your child into a young-ass marriage when she's hella young, for power and money, etc., which is also exploitation of children and families, etc. Polygamy, a man marrying multiple wives, just have a whole bunch of kids by them, etc. Polygamy, all these different things. I don't agree with polygamy. Unless I can do it too, but shit, even then, who knows what I would do? Ain't no telling, because I'm not new to this. Encouragement of bloodline stealing for monetary gain. You see it. Look what they did with Kanye. All of those men are sacrifices. But you notice, what did I say? Y'all ain't listening. What did I say in that video? It was the karmic children video and then the karmic partner video. The bloodline ones. These individuals specifically go after melanated blood. Look at all who they're all dealing with. They all go after melanated blood because the melanated blood is a part of the ritual that they're doing, the spells to bring money and stuff like that. Throughout these men too, and then the children. You see it. Just look at it from a different perspective. Amber Rose on you hoes. Oh my God. Amber Rose, I feel like she's beautiful. She has a nice smile. I like her. I don't have nothing negative to say about her as a person, but she is perpetuated an archetype. And I'm talking about the archetypes that they are perpetuating here. She has perpetuated the feminine imbalance, misuse of the creative force, which is the sexuality, the sexual energy. I don't care what no one says. When you know that you live in a society that is predicated on trauma, and then also having understanding of what sexual energy means, and then also understanding the karma that's connected to the misuse of any power or force, you are imbalanced. That's why you have karma. So the misuse of the feminine energy when she was doing whatever she was doing, sex work, do what you do, but that's what it is. There's karma with it. It's a karmic job. Just like being a meter maid, parking enforcer is a karmic job. Come on. Victim mentality. Also, vain aspirations for false sense of power. Engaging in specific forms of activity with specific people, attracted to certain ways of being and thinking, group things, right? Vibrations, just to have some type of power that's masculine because it's in the material. There's nothing that's lasting. Also, attaching themselves to masculine and abuse of the feminine principle, the creative force. Anyways, I also want to talk about this slut walk too. So for me, the way I see it is, okay, empowering women to not be ashamed of their sexual powers, prowess, endeavors, activities, etc. Of course. No one should be calling you any type of name. If anyone does, as well, you shouldn't care. However, remember, trauma as a predecessor, a lot of people, and also to programming, okay, and brainwashing, we have removed the sacred, right, from our sexual energy, from our bodies, etc. The misuse of the creative force. So me personally, like, I would like to see that discussion happen versus do whatever you want, be free, be wild, it doesn't matter. And that conversation is not happening in the same frequency as the other conversation is happening. There's an imbalance, and that's what needs to be talked about. So when people say to me, oh, you're slut shaming, I'm like, no, I'm not slut shaming anything. I'm just telling you what it is with your energy. Because then that energy then will impact your spiritual health and your energy field and your mental health. And then that mental health will then trickle out into your interpersonal relationships and start impacting other people. So it really is not just about you. That's why, like, I used to have friends who would do that type of stuff and they would just miss wild times. People, I had to stop being friends with them because they will pick up all that energy and all that negativity and all that drama, and just, I can't be a part of that. And a lot of women, I've never met a woman who's been highly, hella promiscuous, and that's long-lasting happiness without years of healing. I've also never met one who has engaged with many, many men sexually and has not had financial issues. Because your sacral chakra is sitting on your womb, which is your sexual organs, your creative force. The lower the creative force, or the more blocked that it is, right, the less ability to manifest resources. Unless you are attached to an entity. Now, this is how they make money, right? You are attached to an entity. You have the ability to utilize that sacral force in the pathway of generating material wealth, right? Misuse of the creative force. That's why they say we're turning tricks. Where literally they're doing tricks, magician. Turn it from one form of energy into another. From the spiritual to material. But there's a cost for that, right? Because remember, that creative force is connected to all other aspects of the body, of the spirit, of the self, your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health. Let's keep going. Last but not least, we got Stacey Dance. Oh my God. So let's break this down. Feminine imbalance, of course, disconnection from source, disconnection from the feminine principle, disconnection from the mother lineage, which is connection to your ethnicity. Severe distortion in Cancerian energy. Alignment with patriarchy and violence for material gain and false sense of masculine power, willing to associate yourself with the Republican Party that is responsible for millions of deaths of people, violence, right? Of people of which you belong to the same ethnic group, disconnection from source, ethnic group, right? Collective group. Delusion and misuse of the imagination, aka the creative force, and putting this delusion out there, knowing that you have influence and power, unfortunately, creating more delusion and stupor out of feminine imbalance. And also distorted Black feminine imbalance, which is assimilation into white supremacy, which I'm going to talk about in the other video. Then I might make that just private because people don't need to be knowing our business. So that concludes the examples of the ways in which distorted feminine energy can manifest on the material plane, okay? And it's important that we talk about these things and get examples in waking life so that we can catch it in real time and be like, oh, that's what that is and that's where that's coming from. Even to Stacey Dash, one more thing I want to take into consideration, her acts in Clueless. So, is that the show Clueless? I think that's what it was called. Literally Clueless, right? Which is lower vibrational feminine energy of not utilizing logic and balance with the emotional element, right? Engaged in that lower vibrational aspect of femininity, which is victim mentality, seeks to be codependent, seeks to be supported and taken care of, leeching. Okay? So, right now, we are in a time where there's going to be a lot of women who are in positions of power who are going to be falling and getting exposed because of their alignment with distorted feminine and masculine energy, okay? So it's really important for us, to learn how to be impartial to their struggles, right? And accept the fact that, you know, they created some of these things for themselves because of their lack of perception, their inability to accept the ways in which they've, perpetuated, imbalanced creations, imbalanced thought forms, patterns, behaviors, etc., just to be in alignment with the patriarchy that's not even really, at the end of the day, going to align with them ever, because it works through you, not for you. These women are going to have to now, if you identify, someone you're dealing with this, those in the distorted feminine energy and distorted feminine masculine energy are going to have to really look at their creations, right? And gain wisdom and hangman energy, right? Change of perception to become more enlightened about what is going on, what they're doing and how they're doing it. Think about people who work in management, women who work in the government, women who work, positions of leadership, mothers in the household, etc. This needs to be cleaned up and cleared. So that's my distorted feminine video. Okay, stay tuned for the distorted masculine. I feel like that one's going to be a mess. I'm wondering who we're going to showcase, but put in the comments who you feel like we should showcase for the distorted masculine, and a lucky winner may get chosen. Anyways, that is the end of your reading. I'm Daisy, aka the Professional High Priestess, and I hope you enjoyed your read. If you need a reading, all the information is in the description box below. Bye.